We are experiencing some serious gremlins, computer gremlins over here at Le Chateau Fish. So thank you very much, those of you on the live stream that have hung out for the last 15 minutes while I have figured out what is going on my end. My goodness. Those of you who are in the replay, the rewatch crew, or on Spotify listening to the podcast, you guys are like, just move on, Gavin. Guys, what are we talking about? We are talking about the case of Nancy Guthrie, the case that has gripped the nation. This is an 84-year-old woman who was apparently kidnapped from her home. I mean, that's what police investigators are saying. The sheriff's office, the FBI. She was kidnapped from her home. Now, over the weekend, there was a lot that went on. A lot of it ended up being kind of nothing, right? There was 3 people detained. There was a house searched. There was a car searched. But like a lot of what happens in this case, nothing ended up coming out of it yet. I mean, I should put that caveat in there. We don't know yet if anything is going to come out of those things or not. But there's some news that has happened today that we want to talk about the case, and I want to talk about what happens with DNA analysis on the investigative level that leads police to their usually, man. I mean, let's be honest. What is it? 90% of crime is. I'm just pulling. Did you guys know that 14,000% of statistics are made up on the spot? No, but crimes like this, they're typically perpetrated by men. So that's why I say that. So we're going to talk about DNA. We're going to talk about what the FBI is doing, what the private lab is doing in this case. Savannah Guthrie has once again broken her silence, so we're going to get into that. There's a lot to talk about. Stay with me. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend, and welcome back to the program, to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. Thank you for joining me wherever you're joining me from, especially those of you on the live that have been waiting patiently. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And a huge shout out to my moderators who keep that live chat the classiest on YouTube. Listen, wherever you're tuning in from, wherever you're joining from, please tell me in the comments, because I like to do a little romper room. I like to see where you guys are joining me from. I want to know if you are far and wide or if you are local to me. I love that part of it. Okie dokie. Let's get into, since we're kind of running late, running behind tonight, let's get into what has been going on in the case, okay? First, I think what we should do is probably come on over to this video right here of Savannah Guthrie. She posted this to Instagram yesterday. It may have been this morning, now that I think about it. I forgot to take a look at that date. But let's take a look at this. It's about a minute long, minute 15. Here we go. Oh, yeah, headphone check, by the way. I try to normalize audio as much as I can, but I'm not always successful. Here we go.
I wanted to come on, and it's been 2 weeks since our mom was taken, and I just wanted to come on and say
Yes,
that
this was yesterday.
We still have hope, and we still believe. And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And we are here. And we believe. And we believe in the essential goodness of every human being. And it's never too late.
Savannah Guthrie there being on brand for her throughout this whole ordeal, showing an amazing level of grace, of put togetherness. Now, she obviously is suffering, right? And she's one of many who are right now. They have their mother, their grandmother missing, and you can tell, you can see this is wearing on her as it naturally will, but showing a tremendous amount of grace there, and grit and faith. I'm very impressed by her and her family. I just cannot imagine what this is like for them right now. Oh my goodness. Let's go over and see what you guys are saying here real quick. Bring this over here. Jules and Me says, Gavin, you are worth the wait. Well, thank you very much. Let's see. Of course, my comments. There we go. All right. I thought that we were just about to have another computer gremlin. Jules, thank you very much for the grace that you are showing me. I deeply appreciate that. Let's see if there are a couple of others in there. Jenny says, Gavin, it was nice chat while we were waiting. No worries, life happens. And if this was the worst part of our day, then I'd say we are blessed. Oh my goodness, you guys are showing once again why you are the classiest chat on all of YouTube. Thank you very much. We've got Osaka, Japan in the house. We got Norton, VA, Elverson, PA, Southern Illinois. Alexandra is from my bed in England, Bucks County, PA, Sugarland, Texas. You know what I should do? St. Louis, Missouri. I think there should be a prize for the most creative way to tell me where you are watching from. Archangel Marici says, I would love to be in Osaka. A fun fact, my brother, my oldest brother, as I was a missionary as a young man in Argentina, he was in Japan, and Osaka was where he worked. I have been to Japan, and this is a bit of a tangent. I've been to Japan on multiple occasions. It is the only place on this beautiful earth of ours where I feel like I am not on this beautiful earth of ours. I can't get around there. Arena, Wisconsin is here. Kent, Ohio, the Chicago Burbs. North Wales is in the house. Northwest Indiana, within walking distance to Chicago and Lake Michigan, is here. Huntington, Indiana, thank you very much. Los Angeles is here. Yeah, Mooney says she looks exhausted. Yeah, she really does. And I don't want to comment on people's appearance, mostly because I want the grace that people extend to me on my appearance. But she does look absolutely exhausted and worn down, and the fact that she is still coming on to social media and sharing messages and expressing hope and expressing faith just really does say a lot about her, the way she was raised, and and her family. Let's see. Oh, it just refreshed on me. Give me a second. A couple more. Wollongong, south of Sydney, Australia. Wollongong. All right. Watching and praying from Islamabad, Pakistan. Oh my goodness. Luke Daly. Tucson, Arizona. Okay, that was somebody else. Rhonda gives big hugs and love to all. Vincennes, Indiana is here. Kennesaw, Georgia. Cold and rainy San Jose, New Hampshire. Guys, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much. Montreal in the house. Thank you guys for checking in. Okay, let's get into some of the things that have happened in the case today. I think the biggest thing that has come out today is that Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos has said in an update that all of the Guthrie family members have been cleared as possible suspects. Up until today, at least to my knowledge, they have said everybody's a person of interest until they're not, right? So let's read this from Rebecca Cohen. This came to us from NBC News. Guthrie family members cleared as possible suspects, sheriff says. All members of the Guthrie family, including all siblings and their spouses, have been cleared as possible suspects in their mother's disappearance, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said in an update this afternoon. He added that the family has been, quote, nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel, Nanos continued. The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple. The statement was not issued as a result of any new piece of evidence. Rather, it appeared to be a response to some recent media reports about a member of the family, as well as to persistent speculation from some tipsters and members of the public. I hope that you, and I certainly have tried, I don't succeed always, but I hope that you have tempered your speculation as we were asked in the Rob and Michelle Reiner case by their surviving children who are not accused of their murder. I hope we all have tempered our speculation with compassion and with humanity. Uh, there are many of us who believe that this is an inside job. Sheriff Nanos is now saying, no, everybody is cleared. Nobody is a suspect that is a member of the Guthrie family, including siblings and their spouses. And I did report. I will fall on my sword on this one. I did report that Ashley Banfield had reported that Nancy's son-in-law was a suspect in this one, and I know that based on the images of the or the screen captures or whatever we want to call them, images coming out of the Nest Cam. People believed that it was kind of looked like a band member or a friend. I guess of the son-in-law. I guess that those things could probably still be true, but according to Sheriff Nanos, no member of the family. Guys, I hope that you can still hear me. This is the those of you on the live stream are seeing this. You can't see me. This is the the gremlin that I had been fighting. I am now my camera has completely turned off. So we're just gonna have to go with what is on the screen. Oh my goodness, my stream decks have completely turned off now. My goodness, this is. Have you guys lost audio as well? Let me just check the live comments. Can hear. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep on. I'm just gonna keep on going without my lovely face, and we're just gonna limp along. Okay. The next piece that I want to share with you is written from the Associated Press. I picked it up in the SentinelColorado.com. Nancy Guthrie kidnapping. Investigators work with Walmart after identifying suspect's backpack. And don't worry, before we go too far, the sheriff did say that his clothing, and this is later on in the article, it's not just Walmart they're working with. But let me just read this from Scott Bauer of the Associated Press. Investigators working on the disappearance of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother are consulting with Walmart management to develop leads because of a backpack the suspect was wearing is sold exclusively at the stores, the Pima County, Arizona sheriff said today. And then I'm going to just skip ahead from, that's the next couple of paragraphs because it's just really kind of well, it's the nut graph, right? They're just telling us about the case. Okay, continuing. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano said in a text message to the Associated Press on Monday that the 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack backpack was the only clothing item that has been definitely identified. This backpack is exclusive to Walmart, and we are working with Walmart management to develop further leads, Nano said. The suspect's clothing may have been purchased from Walmart, but is not exclusively available at Walmart, the Pima County Sheriff's Department said in a statement Monday. This remains a possibility only. Investigators on Sunday announced that a glove discovered near the Guthrie home has been sent for DNA testing. The FBI said it received preliminary results Saturday, and this is something that we're going to get into here in just a bit, and was awaiting official confirmation. The development comes as law enforcement gathers more potential evidence and as the search for Guthrie's mother heads into its third week. Authorities previously said they had not identified a suspect. The FBI said the suspect in the surveillance footage is a man about 5 feet 9 inches tall with a medium build. Nano said on Monday that members of Guthrie's family, including siblings and spouses, are not suspects. And another quote, the family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious, and our victims in this case, Nano said in a statement. Authorities have expressed concern about Nancy Guthrie's health because she needs vital daily medicine. She is said to have a pacemaker and has dealt with high blood pressure and heart issues, according to the sheriff's dispatcher audio on broadcastify.com. I'm going to change the screen for those of you on the live stream since my camera isn't working. Okay. That brings me to, oh my goodness, I'm going to be limping along here, guys, limping along. Let's bring up Nancy while I open a file that I had open right before we started. I want to talk a little bit about DNA and how DNA is used in investigations. We're gonna keep Nancy's picture up here for just a second while I kind of gather my thoughts here, because again, my computer died and I was just all over the place before we started. Okay, basically there are two different major ways to test for DNA. Okay, we hear all the time about CODIS, and we hear all the time about genetic genealogy. And I want to talk a little bit about the differences between those two things, just so that you and I can understand what likely is happening behind the scenes. Okay. CODIS is a combined database. Basically, what happened is I think it was 1994, the federal government created a national database called CODIS. It stands for Combined DNA Index System. It has 3 levels within it: the local lab database, the state database, and the national database, which is kept up to date by the FBI. And then the state and local parts of the database can be updated by state and local law enforcement agencies. Inside CODIS, there is a DNA profile and an identification of convicted offenders. And by the way, like these are mostly felony offenders, but depending on the state, it could also be misdemeanor offenders. Part of their sentence is that they have to have their DNA tested. In many states, you don't even have to be convicted of a crime. You can be an arrestee and your DNA is taken and put into CODIS. And then there is forensic evidence from unsolved cases that is uploaded to CODIS, and that way they can connect crimes together. Okay, and what happens is the computer looks for a match. Now I'm going to show you a document, and I don't have my buttons, so I have to go back and forth here. This is a document from the Amanda Winkowski case. If you guys have been following me for any length of time, the very first case that I ever really got any information on was Amanda Winkowski. If you go to my website, oh my goodness, how clumsy is this? If you go to my website, go to the cases page, you will find this case right here, Amanda Winkowski. And what happened in this case is her mother sued Erie County and got her daughter's case file. And she eventually shared it with me, and I cannot share the whole thing with the public, but I can share certain things that she's given me specific instructions that I may share on. And this is one of these things. And I'm just going to use it as kind of helping us understand what happens in the CODIS database. Okay, the CODIS database looks at a very specific type of DNA profiling, and that DNA profiling is called short tandem repeats. And basically what it's looking for, and I can show you this. Let me bring up, I'm going to bring this up. Okay, this is just a, you know, a look at a sentence structure of the way of one side of the double helix of our DNA in one of our chromosomes. Okay, these letters represent the different kinds of atoms that are going up that side of that double helix. And basically what they're looking for, let me see if I can find it. They're looking for repeats. So you see the yellow letters there, CTAC, CTA, 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 right? Or AGC, AGC, AGC. They're looking for repeats in very specific areas that they call loci. Each locus, they're looking for how many times that repeats, and that becomes kind of a genetic fingerprint for investigators to look at. And what we're looking at here is in the Amanda Winkowski case, they had several pieces of DNA at these different loci, D8S1179, D21S11. These are specific loci within the CODIS database, and these repeats showed up on this allele 8 times, and on this allele 10 times, and on this allele 11, 13, 14, and so forth on this particular DNA sample. And in this case, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 DNA samples, and then they compared them directly to known buccal swabs, the swabs from the inside of the cheeks. In this case, it was 2 men, one named Antoine Garner, one named Adam Patterson. And you can see on that first loci where 8, 10, 11, 13, 14 exist, 10, 11 exists, 10, 11, 10, 11, 10, 11, 10, 11, and 11, 4. That's it. And then you can see that Antoine Garner's is 11 and 14. So both of those are at least on, well, one of them is on all of the samples, and the other is on one of the samples, right? The known buccal for Adam Patterson is on the oral swab where they found male sperm, right? So they go through, and as they look at each individual locus, that creates a fingerprint. Once they get to that used to be 13, now it's 20 loci, they can give a statistical, it's not a certainty, but a statistical certainty for, that's the worst word ever, but they will say something like, well, it matched these 17 loci. The chances of this sample matching this person are 1 in 500 billion. It's like that. That's what they do. And this is the way that the CODIS system works. So the so really it's a one-to-one match. It's a fingerprint. In fact, the best example that you can give on this is it's like a fingerprint, right? Everybody has an individual fingerprint, and you have to have a sample of fingerprints to compare the fingerprints that you lift from the scene to, in order to match or not, right? To some statistical probability. That's the right word that I'm looking for, probability. So that's the way that CODIS works. Now uh, let me come down again, and we're just going to bring up a picture of Nancy here since we're just talking. Now, the other way that that DNA is used, and this kind of was groundbreaking in the Golden State Killer case, is through the use of genetic genealogy. Now, genetic genealogy is the combination of testing DNA and and being a good genealogist. Okay? It doesn't just happen. So basically, instead of doing that short tandem repeat like I was showing you before, they are. Let me see if I can get to. Let me see if I. Oh, okay. I'm not going to show you this. These are just my notes. But in genetic genealogy, they use a technology called single nucleotide polymorphism. So, or SNPs. And SNPs are the most common type of genetic variation among people. And what happens is when our body needs to make new cells, an existing cell splits in two. That's how we create new cells. But before it does that, it copies the DNA so that each new cell will have a complete set of those genetic instructions. But as it's copying that DNA, sometimes our cells make mistakes. It's similar to a typo, and we call these mutations sometimes, right? But these typos in the genetic code lead to variations in the DNA sequence at particular locations. But instead of looking at 13 locations or 20 locations, these SNPs, there are hundreds of thousands of these locations. And so when they get these hundreds of thousands of SNPs out of the lab, it comes in text format, and it's uploaded to a database called GEDmatch. And GEDmatch is a place where people have voluntarily uploaded their DNA that has been, done in the same way. Ancestry.com or 23andMe, those services, they do it. They do SNPs, right? So law enforcement creates a profile, uploads it to GEDmatch, and they look for people that have similar SNPs, and they are able to basically. Where are my notes here? They're basically able to find relatives based on what is called a what is it? It's called the measurement are called centimorgans, cm, and it's a unit in genetic genealogy that measures how closely the DNA between two people match as inherited from the same ancestor. So you think of it as a length measurement. The longer the measurement, the closer their ancestor is. And the shorter the measurement, the farther away that ancestor is. And so when they find a common ancestor, sometimes, it could be it could be a parent, it could be a child, it could be a grandparent, it could be a, sixth great grandparent, it could be a fourth cousin, um, 10 times removed, right? At that point, the DNA part of it is over, and the hard work of genealogists, they go into databases like ancestry.com. And actually, this is a bit of a tangent, but when it comes to genealogical databases, the diamond standard, the platinum gold standard of of genealogical databases belong to the LDS Church. And it's my understanding that Ancestry.com started by licensing those genealogy records, but it takes a researcher who can find the genealogy of whatever person showed up in the JED match as somebody with a common ancestor as the DNA profile that came out of the crime scene or wherever, right? So if it's a parent, for example, if they've got a really long centimorgan measurement, say like, I don't know, 3,400 or something like that, then that work is actually pretty easy. Like, oh, okay, so the common ancestor is a parent. How many children did they have? Who are their children? Where do they live? Give that information to law enforcement, and law enforcement goes and they will collect DNA secretly from from the trash or from Starbucks or wherever. But it becomes harder when it's say the centimorgan measurement is 800, and they think that the relationship is first cousin. So that means that their parents are siblings, which means their grandparent is the person in common. Well, depending on how many children that grandparent had and how many children each child had, that becomes a wider net, and it's a little harder to do, right? But it requires a genealogist, not somebody necessarily who is a genetics expert, but somebody who is a family history expert to be able to build those family trees. And it is really impressive, the work that they do. So what happens first is CODIS, because that is the thing that is the, let's say, the easiest, right? Like, you might get lucky, FBI might get lucky, and DNA might ping to somebody who's already in the database. If it doesn't ping to somebody who's already in the database, it is added to the database so that it might ping later, right? If that doesn't happen, then it goes on to that further genetic genealogy SNP testing. Now, in the past, it used to be really difficult to do both of those tests because of the destruction of the genetic material while you're doing the test. But they're able now, not very easily. It takes real skill and amazing science, but they're able to amplify that DNA, make many, 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 many copies of it, so that they can do both tests. And sometimes they can do the tests multiple times over years as technology improves. So what the FBI is likely doing right now is the STR testing, and the genetic genealogy will come through if and when it is necessary. And that is where that is. I just wanted to explain that so that we're all on the same page. Let's go over to your comments to see what you guys are saying. You guys are saying that you can hear me and everything. Joanne says, "Oh my goodness, I don't have my buttons, guys." No, wrong button, Gavin. Wrong non-button. I'm clicking. Okay, Joanne says, "Dang it, I had notifications set, still missed the start." Well, I'm glad you're here anyway. Lebu Grizzly says, "No worries, Gavin. We're here, gremlins or no." Fourth Opinion says, "Fascinating. Thank you." Sharky Sharona says, Gavin, where's your face? Yeah, I'm having gremlins, Sharky. My camera just stopped working. So did both of my stream decks just stopped working. Maybe I've got like a USB problem. Not sure. Not sure. See if there's any. Let's see. Miss Mizo Tiger says this is interesting. I hope it is for you guys. This kind of stuff. Let's see. Rhonda says, I'm going through one of them test on the 19th over virtual meeting, and then they're sending my swab to find out which side of my family disorder comes from. Oh, that's another way. That's another reason to do that stuff. Really, really good. And then, yeah, everybody has audio, so that is good. I think I've got Karen says they think it is a robbery, but really you don't usually take the victim with you. That is something that came up today in the reporting from NBC News. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Here it is. I'm going to bring you over to the website if I can get my right button to work. Goodness sake, I really rely on these buttons, guys. There we go. This from NBC News 4 hours ago. They say, amid reports that, or Sheriff's Department clarifies it never said Guthrie kidnapping was a burglary gone wrong. Rebecca Cohen again. Amid reports that Guthrie's kidnapping was a burglary gone wrong, the Pima County Sheriff's Department clarified that it has never said that. Any reports indicating otherwise are inaccurate, the Sheriff's Department statement said. The department did not appear to rule this out as a possibility, but did not confirm this is the case at this time. So we don't know if it is. They're saying that we don't know if it's a burglary gone wrong or not. Thank you for the comment. Let me see if I can get Nancy's face back up here and go through your comments here. Okay, I think I got, maybe that's what I did. Ohio Palm Mom, I fed my gremlins after midnight. Adeline says, you explained all of that so much better than my forensic DNA textbook. Well, I've got a friend who explained it to me really, really well, and I hope that I understand it. Miss Chivo says, I heard a commentary that made a light bulb appear over my head. The guy on the porch is so sloppy, he doesn't have the correct holster for his gun. Who says it's a gun? It does look to me like there is a gun in his holster. Let me see if I can get to that video. Like, you can see the handle. You can see the handle coming out of that holster. At least I think I can. But that is just me. So, yeah. All right. Thank you for that comment. Now, here is going to be the hard part, guys. That is what I've prepared to share with you guys. Now I need to find the right button to go to 3 questions. Here we go.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Okie dokie. Let's see if I can get this to work. Oh my goodness. My goodness, this is such a cluster tonight, but here we go. Oh goodness. Go over to here. We'll try this. Okay. Diane asks, Gavin, have you ever visited Jerusalem? Diane, whoa. Sorry about that. No, I never have. I've never been to Jerusalem. I've never really spent any time in the Middle East. That is part of the world that I have never gone to. I don't particularly feel called to that part of the world. Like, I don't feel like it's a place that I necessarily care to tour. I mean, it's obviously historically important. I just, on a personal level, I don't, it's not calling to me. Now, my sister and my brother-in-law went within the last couple of years. My parents went, and they're telling me, go, 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 go. I just have, I guess, never felt that call. And by the way, one of the things I love about three questions is I like you guys to answer some of these questions. And if you don't want to answer this one specifically, where in the world have you gone to that you're like, this is a must visit? Question number 2, this one from Sandy. Is there another job opportunity for prior candidate Wanda? She interviewed so well and would undoubtedly benefit from the channel. Yeah, I had 3 candidates for my director of pushing buttons. Javi ultimately was hired. That sound that you heard earlier, that was Javi under my desk pulling out cables and putting them back in, and he's crawling under my desk at this point. Now, it is illegal to discriminate against somebody over their age. Age discrimination is illegal, but I can't imagine Wanda underneath my desk going through all these cables. I just don't know. Now, is there another job opportunity? I have retained her resume. We'll keep it on file. And if there is an opportunity, we will definitely reach out to Wanda. Thank you for the question, Sandy. Question number 3. Oh, and I didn't tell you guys, for those of you who don't know about this segment, 3 Questions is a segment where you can send in questions to me at 3questions@gavinfish.com, 3questions@gavinfish.com. It's spelled out 3questions@gavinfish.com. And I solemnly promise to answer those questions. Okay, question number 3 is, what movie was really scary to you as a child? This is Bernie asking this question. I wasn't all about scary movies. I do remember one, though. There was a movie, it was a Disney movie, of all things. And this is like 70s Disney, maybe early 80s, probably 70s Disney. And it was called Watcher in the Woods. And it was about this little girl who went into the woods and disappeared. And then there was this whole supernatural, paranormal element to it. And it scared the dickens out of me. I was way too young to watch that show. But you know what? If I'm going to be honest with myself, if I had the opportunity to watch it right now, I would not watch it. I mean, the trauma that I experienced watching Watcher in the Woods. And then another one that really scared me, I can't remember who did this one. I think it may have been Disney too, and it was called Something Wicked This Way Comes. Oh, why did it was my brothers, I bet, that put me through that. I bet it was my older brothers that were like, yeah, let's watch this. And there's like 5-year-old Gavin cowering in the corner. Thank you for that question, Bernie. I appreciate it. And those are our 3 questions. Now, I probably don't have the ability to do... Yeah, I can. Okay. Let's move on. While you guys are answering the questions in the live chat, let's move on to True Crime Headlines. Here we go.
True crime headlines.
How? Okie dokie. And of course, it went to... We need to go here. All right. No, Gavin. Guys, I need my buttons. Here we go. All right. A couple of headlines that I wanted to bring to you guys today. This one from mysanantonio.com, written by Zachary Taylor, right? Questions mount over police chief who led Simpson murder probe. This, of course, is in the case of the murder of Suzanne Simpson. Here we go. The dispute continues over what information from the personnel file of the Olmos Park police chief who led the investigation into Suzanne Simpson's presumed killing will be turned over as evidence. The department head has been accused of letting the Olmos Park mayor peruse physical evidence in the murder case, a highly unusual and problematic accusation, and several lawsuits linked to his conduct. Brad Simpson, the husband accused of killing his wife, has been set for trial several times. Delays in evidence processing by state prosecutors have pushed his face-to-face with justice back several times. Most recently, it was a dispute between his defense attorney and Behar County Criminal District Attorney's Office prosecutors. Simpson's attorney wants personnel files for the Olmos Park Police Chief Fidel Villegas, including files from his tenure at the San Antonio Police Department, Floresville ISD Police Department, Windcrest Police Department, Olmos Park, blah, 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 all the police departments. However, the city of San Antonio has chimed in now, asking the court to review the chief's SAPD personnel files. The city prays that the court conduct an in-camera inspection of the sought-after information, order the release of only those records which constitute exculpatory information or material impeachment evidence, San Antonio Assistant City Attorney James Kopp's motion states. So they're arguing over misconduct by this investigator, the police chief of Olmos Park, Mr. Villegas, who was a dill hole. Do you think that maybe I don't have the button for it though. I want to play a sound, but I just don't have the button. So I want to play the dill hole sound. But c'est la vie. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Second piece of news, this reported from people.com. Melissa Gilbert addresses Modern Prairie community and Timothy Busfield charges. This is written by Brianne Tracy. And again, people.com. The actress made her return. That's a top line. Melissa Gilbert has returned to her company, Modern Prairie, amid her husband, Timothy Busfield's ongoing legal battle. After Busfield, 68, was charged on January 13th with 2 counts of criminal sexual contact of a minor and 1 count of CA, Gilbert, 61, took some time away from the lifestyle brand, explaining in a social media post that she'd be easing back into work thoughtfully and with care. She then returned to Modern Prairie's social media pages today, Monday, February 16th, 10 days after Busfield was indicted by a grand jury in New Mexico on 4 counts of criminal sexual contact of a child. All counts are third-degree felonies and pertain to events in October 2022 and September 2023. Gilbert, who married Busfield in 2013, began her video message to fans by telling them that she, quote, wanted to take a moment to speak to you directly. Continuing the quote, as many of you know, I stepped away for a little while to focus on my family. It was time I needed to be present to tend to what matters most and to gather my strength in a season that has not been easy. Family is everything to me, and during this incredibly difficult time, I leaned into that truth fully. But something else carried me too. You did. Oh, some touchy-feelies. This extraordinary community at Modern Prairie, you wrapped me in love. Even when I was quiet, I felt your prayers. I felt your encouragement. I felt your steady presence. So we will keep an eye on the Timothy Busfield case, and those guys are your headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. And then let us bring up our picture of Nancy Guthrie while I just do one last checkaroonie of your thoughts, your answers to headlines and questions and all that stuff. Miss Chivos Dragon says, I think it's a borrowed gun. Yeah, it does kind of look like it's a gun that doesn't fit into the holster, and the holster almost looks to me like a carrying case. Mary Court says, that looks like a little holster from my mom's little 22. Yeah, like a little Luger, right, with a long barrel. That I feel the same way. Let's see. For a closer space to me, says Sharky Sharona, I think Big Sewer is incredible. Mooney asks about Dory. Yeah, Dory's CV, because she didn't send in a regular resume. She sent in like a 32-page CV. That has remained on file as well. She wasn't hired ultimately because I got tired of reading that thing. Okay, Jenny says, I saw the Blair Witch Project with friends when it was still reported to be true, and I was so scared. Yeah. I've got a friend who is a friend of the filmmaker who made the Blair Witch Project, and we still talk about that to this day. He maintains, and I agree with him, that it was the early, what we would now call social media, but it really wasn't social media then, campaign that he went on to make people believe that it was real that made that movie successful. Adeline says James and the Giant Peach freaked me out. Diane says The Birds. Ooh, Hitchcock. Saw it at the drive-in. I was 9 years old. Oh, man, that would have freaked me out for sure. Mooney says, Gavin, are you on? Courtroom Confidential. No, that has been pushed again because Josh Ritter is still reporting live for Fox down in Tucson. So no, I will not be on Courtroom Confidential tonight. And that works out well because my camera ain't working. Got to figure that out. And then Just Ducky says, Wizard of Oz scared me as a kid. The flying monkeys. Ooh, the flying monkeys indeed. Well, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. I appreciate you dealing with the gremlins tonight. Remember that you can always reach out to me on my website, gavinfish.com. There's always a link in the description below. Hang out with us on Facebook in the fish tank. Just click on the little, I might as well show you here, right? Gavin, go. Oh my goodness, I may as well not show you. That's the system without my buttons. The system without my buttons. There we go. If you click on this little fishy up in the upper right hand corner, that will take you to the fish tank where we hang out on Facebook, me and about 6,000 other friends. You're always cordially invited. And thank you all to those who keep the conversation going over there. With that, I shall bid you adieu. I will begin to struggle with my gremlins and see if I can get this figured out. And hopefully I will be back with you tomorrow, this same time. Until then, thank you very much for joining me and take care of yourselves. Good night. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.